Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost, amen. My dear friends, when St. Andrew was led to his death after the judge sentenced him, a crowd stood there and then they told the judge, don't send this innocent man to his death. We won't allow it. And so St. Andrew could have escaped. He could have escaped 2 days of agony on the cross. He spent 2 days dying after he was crucified. Because in fact the crucifixion it takes 2 or 3 days normally to die. Our Lord died in 3 hours because he was already much diminished by all his passion before. And so St. Andrew just could have said just that. He could simply have agreed with the crowd. Just by agreeing with the crowd, he would have saved his life. He would have escaped the cross. But no, he says, do not stop them from crucifying me. If you love me, let me go. It's my time. My time has come. I must be crucified because I am the disciple of him who died on the cross. And so he greeted the cross when he saw the cross. So the martyrdom of St. Andrew is very particular. It's very willful. Just like our Lord says, no one takes my life away. I lay it down. The Jews are just being fooled by God. We're simply using them as instruments. And so with the St. Andrew it's the same. How is that possible? Well, it's because St. Andrew learned from his master how to carry the cross. If the cross is accepted, if the cross is kissed, if the trials that God sends you in your life are accepted, if you accept, for instance, to give to God the children that he sends, you accept all the crosses that comes with plenty of children, then God blesses you. And he has 2 things to thank you. First, the fruits of the cross are innumerable. Salvation of souls, glory of God. And then he fills your soul with his divine love. And it changes the bitterness of the cross into sweetness. That's a Christian paradox. That's why the world thinks we are fanatics, that we are fools, or masochists. Because they didn't taste how the cross of Jesus Christ tastes, that it is very sweet in fact, that it is very gentle, that it is a medicine and more than a medicine. It's a good tasting medicine. Like when I was a kid, there was a little tablets called Solutricine with vitamin C. And so they put some sugar in it and then they put some lemon taste, and I was very fond of it. And so I always ate that tablet for medical reasons. So same thing. The medicine of the cross that God has given to us by our Lord Jesus Christ is very sweet. Like Saint Ignatius of Antioch, he says, Dantibus leonibus, leonum mola ut Christus, Christi discipulus efficia, let I be mashed by the teeth of the lions, so that I may become a disciple of Christ. So I am the bread of Christ. Christ is the bread of life. If he's the bread of life, this day I will be the bread of Christ. He was worried because Emperor Trajan was a persecutor of the church, but he was a moderate persecutor of the church. Trajan was kind of a nice guy. So the Christians could just have said a word to Trajan. Trajan was such a nice guy that Trajan would have let St. Ignatius go free and he would have saved his life. Even if he did not sacrifice, it would have been okay long. And St. Ignatius would have escaped. But St. Ignatius escaped. Do not sabotage my immolation to the lions. Do not interfere. And then he was very worried, so he wrote several letters. He wrote to the Romans ahead of time so that everything is ready when you arrive. And make sure that the lions are hungry and so on and so forth. Well, that's the effect. It's the effect of a cross which is well carried. And this is what we need to learn. If we want to become elite, and if we want to stop dragging our cross, if we want to stop being hurt by our cross, it's not necessary for us to be hurt by evil in this world. Since our God's secret is the power that He has to turn evil into good. The other side of evil is God's intervention. God's changing evil into good. Because God only allows evil to help us. God is not the author of evil. He's certainly not the author of sin. But if He allows an evil, like when David falls into sin and commits murder, God allows it. It's in order to bring David to true humility. Because there was a problem in the soul of David. So God loved David, so He allowed him to fall, for instance. It's an evil, it's a big, grave evil, but it turned out to a great profit, to a greater profit, because without that evil we would not have the Psalm 50, the Psalm Miserere, which is so beautiful to recite. We should recite every day of Lent in a breviary as priest. It's very beautiful. Many composers wrote on the Miserere, Allegri especially. You can look it up on your gadgets. Listen to classic music. The Miserere of Allegri, must be. And there is also, plenty of other pieces, but that one is the most famous. So God only allows evil because He thinks that there will be a profit. Never because there will be a greater evil. No. He is our Father who is in heaven, and He delivers us from evil. That's God the Father's responsibility to deliver us from evil. Sometimes His choices are hard to understand, like why it's taking so much time for the triumph of Our Lady to arrive. So much so that there is chaos in Dagohoy right now with the Dipicists, or the Quaternists, heresy taking place. A few things are difficult to understand. But give our Father who is in heaven enough time, and then you will understand why He tolerated an evil. And for what good He allowed such an evil to come to pass. Like our friends in communist countries, in Eastern Europe, they were under communism. Why were they in communism? Now it's profiting them because they don't believe all this COVID nonsense. It doesn't take any roots in them because they are used to it. They got the first shot of communism, so they are immunized, or they contracted the disease earlier, and so they are immunized against the next round of communism that we are undergoing. Why this is happening to us? Well, certainly there is some cleanup to be done. Certainly people need to wake up. How can people wake up if they don't realize how absurd ideology is? How absurd it is to create a civil society which despises God so openly as your president does. So it's important that people undergo some suffering, undergo some evil, so that their eyes may open. And that's why God allows these evils to happen. But unlike Satan, God always ends up drawing a greater good. Like without original sin, no Jesus Christ, no Blessed Virgin Mary. Without original sin, the level of merit of people would be very flat. There wouldn't be mountains of holiness. There wouldn't be Mariana fault, Mariana, the big crevice in the ocean. Mariana Trench, you wouldn't have the abyss of evil of King Herod or Stalin, but you would not have a Mount Everest of holiness. You wouldn't have those things. So that's why God allows, because for God everything is simultaneous. God is not in time. So God is as present in this time, this evening, November the 30th, as he is present 100 years from now. For him it's the same. He is there just like he's here, just like he is in the times past. Time is completely indifferent to him. So he sees a sequence where all the sequence of events, that's the way he reasons. Whereas what we see is the little bit of evil which is in front of us. But we don't see to what it's connected and where it leads and what God allows and what are the free choice that follow those evils. Those free choice will turn out to be good eventually. So all this to say that we ask St. Andrew to love the cross, not to be scandalized by the evil times. These evil times were bound to happen, were prophesied, and so many times we've been told about these times, so many apparitions and revelations about these. All the messages about it say in the end it will eventually turn out good. In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. So we've been told that, why don't we believe it? Since we don't need to be told this, that Our Lady will triumph, it's not necessary because we have to believe it even if we are not told, because God is our Father and He knows how to manage evil. Evil management is the trade of the first person of the Holy Trinity. That's His business. So you do my business, says our Lord to Saint Teresa, and you take care of my business, I will take care of yours. So, and our business is to turn ourselves to Him and to trust Him. That's our business. Our business is to trust that God knows what He is doing. That everything is in His hands. Nothing escapes His gaze. Nothing escapes His control. And if there is something that God pays a great attention to, is the mystery of evil and the mystery of sin. So for His greater glory, for the greater holiness, and the greater salvation of souls ultimately. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost.